Baker Mayfield continued his MVP campaign, and Drake and Bacon, the Patriots, showed that the win against the Bills last week was no fluke. Here's everything you need to know about Week 6 in the NFL, and remember to hit like if you enjoyed this video. So last week, the Bills and the Eagles had their first loss of the season. I was not that concerned. Now I'm concerned. The Bills lost to the Falcons and the Eagles lost to the Giants. I mean, these are bad football teams that they cannot lose to on their way to a Super Bowl. I will say, however, that there's a lot of parity in the league this year. A lot of games are more competitive than they normally are, and it does give that kind of any given Sunday kind of feel, but these two teams need to tighten the ship if they want to go to the Super Bowl this year. And one team that's not going to the Super Bowl is the Ravens. They could not cash the check at M&T Bank Stadium against the Rams. However, the Rams did have a costly win in that they will lose Puka Nacua for some time for an ankle injury. But it's not all bad news for the Ravens. Currently, they are in a four-way tag to get the first-round draft pick, and they clearly have needs. The Bengals traded for Joe Flacco this week, and then they promptly lost to the Packers. However, this one is not all on Joe. That defense is not good enough that it will ever win a Super Bowl. So while they're wasting away another season while they wait for Burrow to get healthy, they need to start being aggressive via defensive players, via trades, and start looking at the draft. And no time like the present. Okay, wait, this just in, the Chiefs are winning again. Okay, back to your regular scheduled program. And now it's time for our weekly installment of Keeping Up with the Joneses. The Colts are 5-1, and they continue to keep rolling. Daniel Jones looked good. He did have one interception, but the rest of the game, he looked really good. Now, Mac Jones looked like last week he was going to be shopping for a QB1 job next year with a different team. And apparently it hit midnight. He turned back into a pumpkin. 2 interceptions later, they had a horrible loss to the 49ers. Meanwhile, Baker Mayfield had a quarterback rating of 139 with 2 touchdowns and really is looking like the best quarterback in the league right now. But worse for the 49ers is that they lost linebacker Fred Warner. He'll be out with a season with a dislocated ankle, and that is really kind of the heart and soul of this team. I just can't see this team getting to the Super Bowl without him. Now, the Cowboys are doing really well on offense. Dak is having an MVP-type season. George Pickens is leaping over tall buildings in a single bound, but their defense is very generous in giving points away to the opposite team. And with this defense, they just aren't going to win a ton of games. And the Titans felt like they had seen enough. They fired Brian Callahan, the head coach, after a 1-5 start. But, I never really felt like the Titans were just a quarterback away from going to the Super Bowl. This was a team that was always going to be in rebuild mode, and I think it was unrealistic to expect when there's other teams like the Ravens who are also 1-5 that you were going to somehow have this amazing season just because Cam Ward is on your team. I think this was an unnecessary move, but other coaches to keep your eye on is Zach Taylor for the Bengals and Mike McDaniel of the Dolphins. Let's see how it goes.